everybody. Welcome to the Macabre Podcast universe. It's the podcast that exists to prove people wrong, except in the case of this movie, when they say that sequels are never better than the originals. My name is Micah McCaw.
My name is Jordan McCaw.
We are married. We love movies. We love talking about movies. And you know
Even
what?
the bad ones.
We love talking about the bad ones. Because, as they say, you can't enjoy a rainy day without a couple of sunny ones. Or you can't enjoy a sunny one without a couple of rainy ones.
Yeah.
And also,
It could be true that way, too.
we like other movies besides franchises, okay?
Yeah.
Not that anyone's accusing us of that, but maybe there's someone out there that listens to this podcast that we don't know personally, and they go, they just only talk about franchises. At this point, I feel like we only watch franchises when we're covering it, because there's always that question of, like, if I want to watch a series, I go, but we might cover it soon.
Like a non-franchise movie we recently watched, The Quiet Family.
Very good.
Which stars Kang Ho Song and Choi
Min-sik.
Choi. It is the other way, though.
Yeah.
But, and it's an ensemble cast movie. Hilarious black comedy.
Very Coen Brothers-esque.
Yep.
Probably still on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Really good. But this is all us just trying to not talk about Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Mm-hmm.
This is a movie that, when it came out, it was a massive thud at the box office. I remember when the trailer came out for this movie, people thought, no.
Yeah.
Fans of the series don't like it. Nobody really likes this movie, as far as I can tell. And we watched it. Big spoiler alert. Didn't like it.
Yeah.
It's easily the worst one, which is kind of saying something, because On Stranger Tides is very bad.
I kind of think they're both equally bad, and I'll explain.
Yeah. Maybe this
I can
one
do
has...
that now if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
The On Stranger Tides was pretty bad just the whole time.
Yeah.
There was barely any fun parts, and it lacked heart. This movie, the beginning, first little bit, it was like, oh, this is interesting. They're having fun. I'm kind of liking this. And then it went way downhill. So I think it becomes equally as bad as the other one, because almost like it was doing so well, and then it fell from grace so hard and became terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, very quickly it did, but...
It's almost like On Stranger Tides is just hanging out at a 5 the whole movie.
Yes.
And this movie starts at a 7.
Yeah.
And it's hanging there for a little bit, and then it goes down to a 4 or a 3, so it averages to a 5. By the time
that's
you're
how
done.
I viewed it.
I would agree with that, actually. I think it's just as bad. It's hard to... Because sometimes, at the end of our series, we rank the movies and what we think of them. And it's hard to think which movie I would rather rewatch of those two. Because that's kind of sometimes... when I don't like several movies in a franchise, that's how I kind of narrow it down. Mm-hmm. That's how I had to do it with Terminator. Mm-hmm. I was like, which one would I rather rewatch?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. Maybe by the end of the episode, I'll be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
But let's jump into the production here. This movie is directed by, I'm not going to pronounce this right, but these are Norwegian filmmakers. But Joachim Rønning... and Espen Sandberg, and they directed Bandidas, Kon-Tiki, and some episodes of Marco Polo. So it kind of makes sense why they were involved in this. Mm-hmm. And then Joachim went on to direct Maleficent 2.
Ah, okay.
She's back and better than ever. And then the story is by Jeff Nathanson. So this whole series has been the same two guys, Terry Rossio, and I am totally blanking on the other guy's name.
Yep.
But this is the first movie that has story by Jeff Nathanson, Speed 2, The Terminal, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Tower Heist, The Lion King.
Jeez, what a bad... Okay, keep going.
Are we seeing a pattern here? And then Terry Rossio did the story as well.
Okay.
But the screenplay is by Jeff Nathanson.
Okay.
So for me, that unlocks a lot of the issues in the movie.
Uh-huh.
Because, I mean, this guy wrote the script for the second to the worst Steven Spielberg movie, The Terminal. So he's maybe not the best, and he did the new Lion King.
Yeah.
Speed 2, Cruise Control. Tower Heist.
Who wants to watch Speed 2 Cruise Control? It has cruise control. Doesn't sound very exciting.
Yeah, so I wanted to speak to that a little bit. I think this movie and the movie preceding it are very good examples of, say you watch a Wes Anderson movie or a Christopher Nolan movie or Quentin Tarantino. Those people typically write their own movies. Mm-hmm. So, but maybe someone would look at other filmmakers and go, well, when they don't write them, how does it show? What does the director do that makes it unique when they didn't tell the story?
When it's like originally not their vision.
Yeah, and they're adapting. And I think that this series would be a perfect thing that I would say to that person, as I'd say, watch the 3 Pirates of the Caribbean movies and see that Terry Rossio is involved in all 5 of them. And then the other guy is involved in 4 of them. So the story guys are there. Mm-hmm. But Gore Verbinski, once you watch the last 2 movies, you see how much there was probably weird, crazy stuff that he was able to show you in such a way that was a lot more interesting than the weird, crazy stuff in 4 and 5. Mm-hmm. And I think this is just a perfect example of how much a director is so important, even when a script is good.
Yep.
Because the Gore movies just knock it out of the park.
It's the director's job to tell the story.
Yeah. And in this, like, even story-wise, you tell me, okay, there's a crew that is like Spanish people that died and came back to life, and they're kind of invisible and stuff like that, and they're chasing Jack Sparrow. That, to me, in the hands of Gore Verbinski, I think it would work. Yeah. They're trying to find the trident, and there's going to be a sequence where the seas split like the Red Sea in Exodus, and they're fighting on ground. Mm-hmm. If it's in Gore's hands, I go, that's going to be pretty cool.
Yep.
But with these guys, and I'm not necessarily knocking them, I think this is their first like huge movie. It's hard to jump into something like this. You can see how, okay, I don't know that they had the sprawling vision to take on something like this in a way that would have been fascinating.
I will say, though, that this movie looks way better than the last one, than on Stranger Tides.
Oh, yeah.
Even the special effects, I thought, looked really good. For the most part. There are some
they fall apart at the end.
Yeah, it's almost as if they just ran out of time. But,
right.
Like, I was really dreading Javier's makeup, costume, effects, all of it. And I actually thought it was really, really well done. And the whole crew, too. It was very interesting. And I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. I still haven't been able to land on it because I think they did. Yeah, I think that they did look cool. But I don't know. It's just hard to top a crustacean shellfish crew.
Oh, yeah. I think that originally they need to stop doing ghost stuff. Because that was the first movie where they were basically ghosts. Mm-hmm. So it's not as interesting as the first movie because I've already seen it.
Yeah.
The story's like pretty interesting, but at the same time, I know that you could have come up with something different at all of whatever that would be. And like the Flying Dutchman crew, like they're all basically dead too. So yeah, so it wasn't very new.
No.
Visually, it was only new.
Right. So getting back into this stuff though, the music, this is the first time that Hans Zimmer has nothing to do with the music.
Okay.
Because he did work with the first composer. Yep. The music is by Jeff Zanelli, and he has done Disturbia, Gamer, the critically and everyone reviled Mordecai, starring Johnny Depp, and Christopher Robin, the movie with Ewan. Score-wise, was not into the score. I don't know that that's his fault.
Yeah.
You know,
felt like a young adult thing.
You're 4 movies in.
Like the music felt very obvious. Like,
yes.
If that makes sense. And I've mostly noticed that in like young adult stuff.
Right. Well, there's also something with franchises, which we see all the time. Obviously, you're here at the MPU, where I think a composer is kind of trapped at a certain point. Mm-hmm. You know, it's why when a new Star Wars movie comes out, you know, it's going to be pretty much the same score. Mm-hmm. Although, having said that, I do think that John Williams actually did write some songs that really set it apart from the other movies.
Yeah.
But that's part of the reason why I love The Mandalorian so much, is it was the first time ever that a score for Star Wars was able to just be like something actually sounding different.
Yeah.
Not resembling the others. So anyway, cinematography is by Paul Cameron, who did Gone in 60 Seconds, Swordfish, that weird movie with, what is his name? Well, it's got Hugh Jackman, and it's about hacking the internet, and Halle Berry.
Oh, John Travolta.
Yeah, very bad movie. Very ugly movie, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
He did Man on Fire, Collateral, and he also did Man on a Ledge. So kind of a weird... I don't know that I'm too big a fan of his style.
I would say definitely no for me.
The movie comes out May 26, 2017. I can't believe it's 3 years old. I thought it came out last year for some reason.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And on Wikipedia, it said the budget was $230 million to $320 million. But then on Box Office Mojo, it said the budget was $230 million. So it's probably $230.
Okay.
The movie domestically makes $172 million.
Yikes.
Americans said, no thanks, we're over it. It still manages to make $794.8 million total, though.
Okay.
But judging by the other movies, I mean, that's a $200 million drop from the previous movie.
Mm-hmm.
Not great. In some parts of the world, it's known as Pirates of the Caribbean, Salazar's Revenge.
Okay.
After Stranger Tides release, they plan on shooting 5 and 6 simultaneously.
You know what doesn't make sense to me in the movie?
Yes.
Is in the beginning when Salazar leaves, what's his name? Henry Turner alive, the last man alive on the ship, because that's what he does, is he leaves one last person alive so that they can like tell the tale.
Because as we know, dead men tell no tales.
But like, yeah, then he's talking about Jack and like tell Jack I said this. I can't because dead men tell no tales. You told him. That made no sense. That was clearly just, we got to put the title of the movie in here. And not only that, we got to put like the big tagline of the ride.
Yep.
It made no sense. Like most of this movie.
There was no explanation that was satisfactory for that. And excuse us if we're coughing. Jordan made a wonderful...
I made Kung Pao tofu and put a lot of red pepper in it.
Yeah, and it filled up our apartment, and it's filling up our lungs now.
Yeah.
But it was really good. Okay. So, yes, they plan on shooting this movie and a 6th movie simultaneously, originally. And, because remember, the previous movie came out in 2011. And Marshall decided, Rob Marshall, to direct Into the Woods instead of directing 5 and 6.
Okay.
Then they go up to Gore Verbinski again, and they go, hey, do you want to do it? And he says, quote, there's no reason other than financial for me to make this movie. So he says no. Rocio's script draft was ultimately rejected, and the writer stated that a major reason was its use of a female villain, which made actor Johnny Depp, quote, worried that it would be too redundant to Dark Shadows, which also featured a female villain.
Did that come out in 2017? That came out
in 2012.
Oh, yeah, that makes so much sense.
Well, they were trying to work on it at that time.
Okay.
But also, what is he talking about?
Yeah, that's weird.
He's worried that...
He's like, everyone watches my movies conceptually.
And also...
And they're all connected.
That is such a weird sexist thing to say.
Yeah.
I think that he's worried that if there's 2 movies that have a female villain, people will be like, ooh, that's too many female villains. What are you talking about? It's mostly male villains. So...
I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
That's weird.
And the studio was worried about Depp because his bankability. Because Lone Ranger, the other Gore Verbinski movie, did not do well. And
that came out like before this one, like right before?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think a few years after. But anyways, the script was not finished at this time. They're worried about Johnny Depp's bankability, and the costs are just rising on this movie. This is still, we're in like 2012-13 range. And so then finally they're like, okay, we got things figured out. It's headed for a July 2017 release. And Christoph Waltz is signed on to be the villain of this movie.
Interesting.
Ready to go with Christoph. And then for some reason, he just is out. Doesn't I?
One
I
of
don't
the few
know why.
things he wasn't in around that time.
I know. And then this is cute. This is a cute thing about the movie. Javier Bardem, who is married to Penelope Cruz,
Yes.
hung out on the set of On Stranger Tides. When he was on the set of On Stranger Tides, he thought, you guys are having a lot of fun. This is cool. And so he said, why don't you guys have me in it? I want to do this because it seems really fun.
To be able to be that famous to do that and still get paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's crazy. He makes sense to me, though, to cast him in this franchise.
Yes, he does. Not super crazy about his performance, but it's still Javier Bardem, so he's more interesting than most people.
My expectations were more in the negative coming into this movie, so I thought he did pretty good.
Yeah. Keith Richards expressed interest in reprising his role as Captain Edward Teague, but was unavailable, leading Depp to invite Paul McCartney into appearing as Jack Sparrow's uncle.
Oh, it's supposed to be his uncle? Does he say that?
He does say that.
I hated that so much.
Let's
that was
save it.
So
I want
ridiculous.
to dive into that. That was bad. And then there were scheduling conflicts for those our two favorite pirates, the bald guy and the guy with the eye.
But they were trying to get them in it.
They wanted to be in it.
They probably would have been Barbossa, those two guys who were with Barbossa.
They would have, I think. Yeah.
Which is cool that they got those actors.
Yeah.
Because that was fun.
But it sounded like they were kind of like, oh, we did kind of miss it after they did 4, and we do want to be back in, and then they couldn't.
They couldn't. Okay.
And then here's a weird one. A number of issues and controversies set back the film during its production. The biosecurity laws in Australia posed problems regarding the capuchin monkeys that portray Hector Barbossa's pet monkey Jack. Because the animals are regarded as a Category 1...
You said that like a pirate.
Regarded as a Category 1 pest and call for strict requirements and a 30-day quarantine. Further
do they carry disease?
It said it's a Category 1 pest. I don't know
but
what
it
that
says
means.
a 30-day quarantine.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure
So they must carry something.
And then further controversies erupted from animal rights activist groups who urged federal environment minister Greg Hunt to reject the entry application, arguing that the long air flight would affect their health and that their performance was unnatural and would create demand for illegal wildlife trade. One of the monkeys caused further disruption when it wandered off set at Movie World and bit the ear of a makeup artist on another production.
That's wild. And I also think that they forgot that the monkeys were in a tiny bottle ship. So
yeah,
that probably disoriented them more than the flight.
They could have just filmed that in a backlot. I don't understand.
Oh, yeah. Why did they have to be in Australia? I don't know.
Yeah. And you know what's funny about that? Do you remember, not to go totally into all the Johnny Depp Amber Heard stuff, but before all of that exploded, they got in trouble because I think they brought their dogs to Australia or some sort of pet they
I've
had.
never heard of this. Like a pet that that Australia didn't allow?
Yes. And they didn't claim it.
How did they bring it in?
Well, okay, I have to look it up now because you're going to ask me 1,000 questions about it.
You know your facts.
Okay, let's look up here. Johnny Depp. Yeah, Australia dog. Actor Johnny Depp has been told he has until Saturday to remove his dogs from Australia or they will be put down.
What kind of dogs were it? They?
Depp, hang on. Depp and his wife Amber Heard are accused of not declaring Yorkshire Terriers Boo and Pistol to customs officials when they flew into Queensland by private jet last month.
Huh.
So then...
Those little yappy dogs, were they just going to put them down because they didn't claim them?
This is the funniest thing. Okay.
Australia is a wonderful island with a treasure trove of unique plants, animals, and people.
It has to be protected.
Australia is free of many pests and diseases that are commonplace around the world. That is why Australia has to have such strong biosecurity laws.
And Australians are just as unique, both warm and direct. When you disrespect Australian law, they will tell you firmly.
I am truly sorry that Pistol and Boo were not declared. Protecting Australia is important.
Declare everything when you enter Australia. Thanks.
Was that like part of their thing where you had to make that video?
Yeah.
What?
They like got in trouble and so they had to make that video. And I mean, and this is like we're getting at that was years before this Pirates movie came out, but we're definitely hitting that peak of, that's just another reason to not like Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
You know? Where it's like, why didn't you just claim your animals? What are you talking about?
Well, when you get, so you know, when people have been famous longer than they've not been famous, I think they, like a lot of people, not speaking to all of them. Also, I don't know a celebrity at that caliber, but I do think that you get to a point where you're no longer part of reality.
Yes.
You're in a completely different type of reality.
Yeah.
And everyone treats you different. And it's like that's normal it becomes normal that people treat you a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And you start to I don't know, like expect a certain, like that you can do certain things.
Right. You're a celebrity. You're like immune to some of those things, which I get. If you have people only telling you yes in your life, I can see how you just
You're like, why do I have to ask at all for something? But also, though, I mean, they've just been in the news for a lot of craziness anyway, so they definitely all have their own.
Yeah, because there's all the abuse
stuff.
And abuse allegations and
alcoholism.
I mean, it's actually very sad on both parts.
Yeah.
When you
but also
down.
Declare your dumb dogs.
Yeah, it is funny in that
Pistol and Boo.
Yeah, they're like,
we're so sorry we didn't declare Pistol and Boo.
Okay. So the crew and cast were forced to cover the camera lenses on all mobile phones to prevent pirating the movie.
Haha.
And then, and this was following the attempt of an armed man trying to bypass security.
What?
I don't know what he was doing, but they had like a tight security and they were kind of freaked out. Depp got hurt and had to be flown for surgery in U.S., resulting in a 2-week delay.
What did he get hurt by?
I don't know.
Oh,
sorry.
Oh, brother.
I do so much, and then you
know,
ask all
but
these...
you know you're married to a very curious person.
Well, that was enough for me.
Yeah, for you.
So actually, this would have been where they didn't declare them because they would have been flying to shoot this movie.
Yeah.
And then this took nearly a year of post-production and reshoots.
Wow.
And the film was released in IMAX in an expanded 1.9 to 1 aspect ratio.
Okay.
Very wide and big.
Oh, okay. Sure.
I think.
Yeah, me too.
Shortly before release, Dead Men Tell No Tales was allegedly stolen by a group of piracy hackers.
Very funny.
The movie was pirated by pirates, who demanded a large sum of money from Disney in order for them not to leak the unreleased film. The company refused to do so and worked with the FBI in order to uncover the identity of the group. Disney CEO Bob Iger reported that hackers did not steal their movie. So,
just a couple of teens.
That's the notes I got.
Okay. So like we mentioned previously, Javier Bardem is in this movie. I don't think we've covered him yet, but
no, we haven't.
He's in No Country for Old Men, for which he won an Oscar.
He did?
Right? Didn't he win an Oscar for that?
I don't think so.
Oh, now I'm confirming.
I think
won 4 Oscars. Best motion picture. Oh, I'm looking at.
You're looking at.
I clicked on No Country for Old Men. Oh, I could have just stayed on the page. What am I doing? Yeah, hold on.
I think he won it for a movie called... No, I don't think he's won an Oscar. I'm pretty sure he has
Best performance by an actor in a supporting role, Javier Bardem.
In what?
No Country for Old Men.
Okay, he did win. Okay.
Gosh. So now you're questioning me on stuff, and I'm delivering answers. What are you doing?
Oh, boy.
He's also in Skyfall, Beautiful, Todos lo saben, Loving Pablo, Mother. He's in a lot. Oh, he's also in Collateral.
Oh, yeah. That was weird when he popped up.
He looks very young.
Yeah.
Very good Javier Bardem, period, in my opinion.
Are you attracted to him?
Looks-wise. Yeah.
You are? Wait, you are?
Why are you shocked?
I just think he's a very strange-looking person.
I don't think he is.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
Sorry.
Maybe I'm not as good looking as I thought.
Gosh. You know I love Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, you like a guy with a little weird. Which
Sorry.
explains me. Yeah, okay. This all tracks.
Yeah. So maybe I'll get on with it.
I got my big bulbous nose.
You're going to edit this out?
No?
Okay.
Should I?
You're being weird.
Okay.
No. It's fun. Don't. Maybe edit this part out.
Please keep going.
Okay. Brenton Thwaites. I don't think I'm pronouncing that correctly. He plays Henry Turner. He's in The Giver, Gods of Egypt, Maleficent, I Met a Girl, Ghosts of War, An Interview with God.
Wow. He got it. He got the interview.
Oh, and he's going to... What was that picture?
Jordan.
Looks like he was going to be Robin in Teen Titans. Oh, a Teen Titans show. Oh, it's already a show. What?
He got the interview.
Yeah.
The interview with God.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted a little recognition.
Sorry. Kaya Scodelario plays Karina Smith.
Oh, okay.
They spell Smith with a Y. That's cute.
Oh, man.
So she's in the Maze Runner
Tracks for me.
series. She's in Moon, I guess.
She must be like a voice.
Yeah, because he's Sam Rockwell's the only person in that movie.
I think so. I bet it's it's probably like his wife or something back home on Earth.
His wife? She was young in this movie. And that movie came out in 2009.
Maybe his daughter?
Yeah. The Pale Horse, Crawl. Oh, she's in Crawl. She's probably the titular crawler.
That was good.
Yeah, that's her.
Okay.
And then we have Golshafete Farahani, who played a witch in this movie.
Okay.
Shansa. She's in Body of Lies. And Patterson Dabaria Ellie, about Ellie. I'm curious what. Hold on.
What did I miss with the witch? Because she shows up in the movie, she tells Barbossa something about a compass, hands the compass to him, and then she shows up later in the movie, and we never see the resolution of what she's doing or any impact besides her handing the compass to Barbossa, right?
Yeah, I don't know why they put her in this movie. Also, it makes less sense. She is Iranian. I was curious about that when we were watching it. When we were, so we're watching the movie, and Karina's character, people keep calling her a witch because she, she's a woman and she likes science. She's scientifically inclined, and women were repressed from a lot of those things. So she's called a witch. And then they put an actual witch in the movie.
And then they didn't do anything
they
with
didn't,
that idea.
Explain, like how that could maybe be interesting.
Yeah.
Like the dynamic or whatever. I don't know. She shouldn't have been in the movie.
Yeah.
That's it. That's as simple as that. And it's as if it confirms that Karina is a witch, which is a bummer. And it takes it away from women because... So Karina, like I just said, scientifically inclined, academically inclined. They keep calling her a witch. She gets out. They're trying to find where she and Jack and all of them went. So they get the witch to read the writings that she put on the wall, which is just a bunch of science.
Uh-huh.
And the witch is the one who tells them.
I don't even remember the scene you're talking about.
Because when Karina was in
I'm okay with
prison, she's like writing like basically equations and stuff on the wall trying to figure out the riddle.
Oh, okay.
She's basically just doing science and just writing it out. And they're looking at it because they're not scientists. The men are like, this is witchcraft. So they get the witch to read it. And the witch reads it. I don't know. I didn't get it. It was weird.
Well, and... Okay, do you know much about the history of witch stuff at all?
No.
Because I'm just curious if that was happening during this time or if it was earlier, or because I feel like this is a little late in the 1700s to be doing the witch stuff.
Well, what's interesting is because they're on St. Martin's Island, which it's in the Caribbean.
What? Really? I'm
assuming because it's okay. but this woman who's a witch, she is clearly not British. I mean, like, I guess I shouldn't say I shouldn't say that, but I'm assuming that she's not British.
Sure.
She maybe they're even trying to play her off as indigenous, but that doesn't even work for me.
Yeah.
I don't even, I'm like losing my train of thought because none of it makes sense. Like, I don't, you know what? I'm going to stop talking because it doesn't make sense and it shouldn't have been in the movie.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't even make sense on a historical level in that area. And I don't really know that much about the Caribbean.
Yeah. I just think that I guess I'm really sick of that thing where it's a smart woman, so they call her a witch. I'm just kind of over that as a plot device in a movie.
Yeah.
Or
I think it was easy for this movie to put that in it.
Yeah.
For a fifth movie in a franchise where it's getting a little lazy. I think it's just kind of easy.
Yeah,
but the witch, the actual witch, makes no sense.
yeah. It's very. There's just a lot of stuff in this movie that even more so than the previous movie just kind of defies any setup or logic.
Because the Calypso character,
Yeah,
when we meet her, she's like a voodoo witch.
yeah,
But we're geographically in an area where like that might make sense. The Caribbean, so the movie takes place throughout several islands. So you have the Bahamas, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. You have all those islands, a lot of indigenous people living on those islands who have their own religions before British influence.
yeah,
So when you introduce the Calypso character, she's like a voodoo witch, and that works
yeah,
because it just works. You don't even have to question it. But in this movie, when you have the witch, it's not like really well known. They don't even go to a cool place where she could be practicing. She's like basically under house arrest. And all
Right.
Barbossa says is, I kept you from the gallows. We don't know anything about her that makes it interesting. She just wears a lot of makeup and a bad outfit.
yeah.
It's like I don't buy that they would allow a witch. Like, I don't buy that the British would allow a witch to work.
You know what I wonder? I wonder if she was supposed to be the villain of the movie.
Oh.
And she was the one that Johnny Depp heard, and he got scared that a girl would be a villain. And so he said no.
It does feel like she had a much bigger role and they cut out most of it.
Yeah, because
Maybe that's why we were so confused.
Yeah, because I feel like I see I'm already like, this movie has to fight an uphill battle because of all the stuff I know about it, and just already it's 5,
Yeah.
But when I see her, you think maybe they could do something cool with her like they did with Calypso, which I originally, as you go back to the episode and listen, did not like the Calypso thing, and now I think it's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they're doing something like that. But she just shows up and she does stuff that she's very perfunctory.
Mm-hmm. Very
weird.
I would say she doesn't even really move the story forward. Like, it's just completely cut out that part of the story. It wastes time.
Yeah. There's got to be
this movie.
a
It
script.
takes so long for the movie to start.
Yeah.
It is so boring.
There's got to be a script on Final Draft 12 or something that he has that she makes sense in.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to think anyway. But let's kick off the movie. It starts with a young Henry.
Yeah.
And Will Turner walks out, and we're on the Flying Dutchman. He
the-
goes out and looks for it.
I like the sequence. It shows that the kid understands pirate folklore enough to know how to find the Flying Dutchman and to meet with his dad. And he says, I'm going to bring him back. And then Will's like, no, you can't. It's impossible. And he's like, I'm going to get Poseidon's trident. No, I don't know if he says that.
He says that later, I think.
But he's like, I'm going to do it. My whole life is dedicated to getting you back.
Which I will say, this kind of answers your question about Elizabeth, because she would have had to die and join the crew in order to
We kind of talked about that, and we did. For me, it makes more sense that it makes it like she would rather die to be with him than not. But I do think we saw it, like, his character could be like, I would never ask you to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We talked about it too much.
But I would say the only thing it's just something that bothers me about sequels sometimes, when they go, hey, remember that thing? We're going to expound upon it. And it's from a few movies ago. And it's just, I don't know. I look at the end of Pirates 3 and I go, that storyline is over.
Or how about this? They take an object that's been in the movies and they add so much significance to it throughout definitely these last 2 movies, to the point where it's basically the most important object, the stupid compass.
Yes, which has been important, but not
it.
to the degree in which.
No, it's more just like it's a good little helper, but it's like it like holds the whole movie together, like the last 2 movies. It's so important, and then to add, like, whoever betrays the compass, all this bad stuff happens to them. It's a compass. What?
Well, and here's why I have a problem with that is Elizabeth has the compass for much of 3.
Yep.
And I think even in, I mean, Jack's dead at that
Will
point.
gets it too.
But yeah, Will uses it, and they're using it at. There's times when Jack is around and other people are using the compass. So, and I know they say it's when you betray the compass. So maybe you could argue he never betrayed it.
So the
But
guy
the
that
fact that
died, the guy that died and gave him the compass, didn't he betray the compass by dying?
That's what I would think. And
That
then
makes no sense.
when he hands it to the barkeeper, it's like as soon as he sets it down, the seas awaken. And it's just.
Oh gosh, it makes no sense.
It's a little. I mean, again, this movie, like the last movie, Jack Sparrow's already developed as a character, so there's nothing more for him to do except for get de-aged a little later in the movie.
Yeah. But let me talk about part of the movie I thought was fun.
Okay.
Because we're still in the fun part in terms of Will finding his dad. Movie gets set up. Fine. Great.
Yes, but I did. I finished my thoughts. Yes.
So we're a little bit into we're in the story's present now. And we're at St. Martin's Island.
Uh-huh.
And they're opening a bank.
Yeah.
And there's a safe. It's this big thing. Bruce Spence is in it for this scene. Are you okay?
I pinched my skin in the headphones. Ow! That hurts so bad.
Sorry, I'm laughing. I'm sorry.
It's gonna totally be bruised.
Are you okay?
And before Christmas.
I think you'll be okay.
Okay, Bruce Spence.
Micah got hurt for this podcast. We got hurt for this stupid movie. Anyway, when they open the vault, Jack is sleeping inside, and that whole sequence is very funny to me. It's very classic Jack.
That felt like return to form. I thought,
Totally.
maybe they're back in their stride.
Totally. And then to add even more on that, you have his crew like Gibbs and them hooking up horses and ropes to the building to the vault to take it away. And that whole sequence was not the whole sequence, but when the building starts moving,
Yeah.
I thought that was really fun.
I thought it was fun.
And it was great. Way too long, mind you.
Yeah.
But it was really fun. And that's when within this time we find out that Karina is just this woman that's in prison.
Yeah,
That's all
because
we
she's
know.
a witch.
Because she's a witch, apparently. I kind of wish that she was just a witch. It'd be more interesting and fun at this point. But
here's a trope that I don't like. And correct me if I'm wrong on this, but where they take a woman and they make her only defining feature that she's smart like a man or smarter than a man. That's her only quality. That's the only thing. That's the skin level of what we get out of this character. It's not Linda Hamilton and Terminator.
Yep.
It's just like and it's hard to talk about because what I'm saying is I wish there was more for that female character. I'm not saying I don't wish that there were female characters in the movie. You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree. And this is going to sound really nitpicky too, but I do think that there is some truth to it where all of her motivations are based on a man.
Oh, absolutely.
They're all based on her father.
Yeah.
Whoever this mysterious father is, which turns out to be Barbossa, which it's like, why is Barbossa in this movie though? He shouldn't be in this movie.
They really poop on Barbossa.
They pooped on my favorite character. Yeah, so she just is a real bummer of a character.
Yeah. So she's just defined by her love of science.
But only because
not,
of her dad.
It's not in an intriguing way. I don't know. It's just an annoying trope to me.
Oh, I agree. It's a lot of eye rolls.
Yes.
So Turner shows up at some point to do stuff. All the fun stuff happens. And then, Turner's on a ship. Oh, okay. Henry Turner is on a ship. He gets his sleeves ripped, which means he's like, he committed a crime. Treason.
Yeah.
And then Salazar / Javier Bardem and his crew get onto this ship and they kill everybody, but leave Turner because he leaves one. And then we already talked about that junk that makes no sense. Mm-hmm. So then Turner gets found, but they see that his sleeves have been ripped, so they know that he's not a good guy. So he's going to go to jail and probably die. Blah, blah, blah. Everyone is always getting hanged. People getting hanged in this series. And then he meets Karina because now she's a nurse. I don't know how she thinks that she should be pretending to be a nurse at this point, but she is.
You're right. What?
Maybe in the town she heard the rumors and heard that he was in the hospital. Maybe it's not that far-fetched. It's probably not. But
Jordan, it is. For a series that its first 3 entries are almost too explanatory and showing you almost. I think it works. Totally works. It's actually just good filmmaking. But I mean, they really show you step by step what's happening. And for this movie to just kind of gloss over a lot of those details really makes it not make any sense.
No. So, yeah, so she's there telling him about stuff, needs help, and then she gets arrested again and he escapes. It's just like, when do we get in the ocean at this point?
Yeah.
So Jack is captured again, and Turner finds him, and they have a long conversation about Salazar coming for him. And it's just like, what is even happening anymore in the story? I'm so confused.
And now that I think that's a good transition into a couple of things I discovered. The movie, I was, and you know, I don't want to. I realize that alcohol is an addiction and it's alcoholism, and it can be a real problem. So I'm not trying to make light of that. But I mean, I think to see into this movie, I was watching it, and Johnny Depp's performance, I thought it is like he is drunk on set, and then they're saying, "Hey, we need you to play drunk," and so he's already drunk, and then he's like, "Oh, you want me to play drunk?"
Yeah.
And you're going, "Oh my gosh!" Like there's no magic in the Jack performance in this movie, and he really doesn't feel. It seems like it's a different actor playing Jack, and so the movie was being produced as Johnny Depp was going through a bitter divorce. We know about this, of course. He was chronically late to the set to the point where it ate into the schedule, as the set often came to a halt for several hours at a time. It got to the point where a production assistant was hired just to wait outside Depp's house and announce that he was awake when they saw lights come on. And when I saw that, I thought,
Makes
that
a lot of sense.
totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, Hans Zimmer turned down this movie so he could work on Dunkirk.
Thank you.
Good choice on his part. Yeah. Great score by him.
Well, he's never going to turn down a Nolan movie. Come on.
He didn't do the last one.
I know.
He didn't do Tenet. I think Ludwig maybe did.
I think you're right.
Oh, man.
It feels like you're right.
By now, listener, we'll have seen that movie, but as we're recording this, we have not. We still have not. So, anyway, I mean, the Depp performances, I mean, it's
a big
horrible.
bummer.
Yeah, it's very bad.
The whole writing is a big bummer because he really shouldn't be this big of a character again. But here we are. C'est la vie. So Jack is going to get beheaded by a guillotine. And this is the year it was invented because we had to know, because they're like, new invention, a guillotine. And it's like, no. The French have been doing this way longer.
Yeah, but then
Turns
we
out
looked it up, and it does take place in around the time when they would have invented
There was another thing in this movie, too, that I was like, no. They didn't do that yet. And I don't know if we cross-reference it, and I don't remember what it was. But it's just,
I don't know either.
There's just some stuff. I feel like it's a very, like, a lot of things were getting invented in this time, and sometimes it feels wrong. Like it shouldn't have been yet.
Well, there was that weird scene.
I know what you're talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me take it. Where Johnny Depp he goes to the theaters and he puts on those 3D glasses and watches Avatar, which was so weird and completely distracting.
That sounds better than this movie.
Yeah.
No, but it's when Barbossa shoots his gun twice. And I don't think that was happening back then.
They had double barrel guns,
but that was
his
not
was not a double barrel gun.
Gun.
That was just a continuity error.
Yes. Unless someone else shot the first shot and we just didn't notice.
Which is possible.
Yeah.
Because we were losing steam. But I need to jump back in, Jordan.
Yeah, so he's going to get beheaded.
But before that, he's walking through the cell, and little old Mr. Beetle himself, Paul McCartney, dressed down as a pirate, is like, "Oh, hello there, Jack. It's nice to see you again. Oh, just let it be. Let it be." He's not actually saying let it be, let it be. But it's almost to the point where it's like, just make him sing Hey Jude for the shot, because this is so winky that it is insane.
It was awful. And they did actually give him some funny lines. I'm going to give him that. About like, make sure I hope it's this guy who's going to do it, because
that part was,
he's not going to cut your feet off, or he's not going to do this stuff like with his dead body.
Disembowel you, have Victor do it.
Yeah, I was like, that's kind of funny. But also, don't want Paul McCartney in the movie.
Very weird.
Yeah.
I feel like it only would have worked if in every single movie they had a different like rock god that was in the movie.
Yeah. But also, no.
Yeah. So yeah, didn't like that.
Yeah, so Jack's gonna get beheaded, and at the same time, Karina is gonna get hanged. I'm curious if women were not beheaded during this time.
Well, they did ask Jack if he wanted to choose.
Oh, okay. This is a funny scene.
This is a good scene.
Yeah.
They're arguing back and forth, and it's preventing either one from getting killed.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, a cannonball hits, Jack's crew shows up and saves him.
Turner comes swinging in on a rope like Tarzan.
And he kind of, he falls, and it's very weird. And they're like, you thought you were going to save him? And he goes, it was a distraction. And then the guys come out, and they shoot a cannonball. And there's a pretty cool shot where a camera's attached to the guillotine, and Jack Sparrow's flipping in the air.
Yeah.
And it's almost cutting off his head.
Yeah.
That's fun pirates.
Yep.
I like that.
I agree.
And that's like the one scene in the movie where I feel like Depp was actually like keyed into being Sparrow again.
And while that's happening, Turner is like holding Karina up because like the door was open from under her.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of talk about where his hands were on her body. That wasn't as funny to me.
No. Because they're also like referencing a ship and stuff as her body is a ship.
Yeah, and then her boobs are just out the whole movie.
Yeah. So
they just take a big dump on women in these last two movies.
Well, it's a bummer because I just think that Elizabeth Swann is such a strong, cool character.
Mm-hmm. And she actually does stuff.
Yeah, and I think we got to give a little more credit to even just Keira Knightley's performance, because she doesn't play it damsel in distress.
No.
But she's also not playing it like, and I don't want to knock this actress because it's bad material, but this actress is playing it like, I'm just like all the other boys, and like, I'm proud, and I can do anything,
But I think that's just how it's written.
I think so, but I mean, you can see a world where maybe Keira Knightley's not as good, and you don't see that character as strong as that character is.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I'm just giving Keira Knightley more points.
Always give her more points.
So let's see. Finally,
they all run away on the ship.
Yeah, and they're finding out, oh my gosh, what's this? There's this guy that's chasing me who has a crew that's dead or something. Let's do a 10-minute plus flashback to explain.
Well, that's when he's with Barbossa. So, well, Salazar's still killing people. Oh, I guess when Turner was introduced, he was on a Royal Navy ship, and he was warning the captain not to go into the Devil's Triangle because no one ever comes out. Yeah. Like, I know everything about pirate folklore. Don't go in there. And that's where Salazar and his crew have been trapped ever since they've died, is in the Devil's Triangle. And for some reason, Jack relinquishing or betraying his compass freed them from the Devil's Triangle. Why? Yeah. I don't know. But now they're out hunting other places, and they come across Barbossa. And Barbossa, he's starting to kill Barbossa's crew, and Barbossa says, I will find Jack for you by tomorrow if you don't kill me. Then we get backstory.
The thing I will like, I do like it rather about this is he's got this thing where he says, every time I tap my sword to the ground, I'm going to kill one of your crew. And instead of making him kind of a PG dull villain, he just is killing a lot of the crew.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought that's cool because the other movies have that kind of edge to them.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think the fourth movie didn't really have much of an edge.
Oh, Blackbeard was so boring.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Javier gives his backstory of why they are the way that they are.
Yeah.
And I will say the design of him makes sense because of the story. They all look blown up, literally, because they were blown up.
Sure.
And then also found it interesting that they decided to keep it look like they're always in water. Specifically him. He always looks like he's floating, like his hair's always in water. I thought it was going to look way worse than it did.
Yeah.
I thought it looked pretty dang good. And I thought he looked, because a lot of the times when you have like the main villain or the main character or whatever, they still look good even when they're trying to make him look bad.
Yeah, and he looks
gross. He looks bad.
Yeah.
He looked, very well done. And there's always like blood coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Love it. And then there's just some people who are like half blown. Like their bodies shouldn't even physically make sense, but they're just still walking around killing people. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
You want to take this?
Well, so there's this flashback sequence where basically Salazar Slytherin I think he was killed by pirates. So Salazar says, I'm going to kill pirates all over the
like
place.
that.
So he's attacking the crew that is piloting the ship that Jack Sparrow...
Piloting?
Yeah. That Jack Sparrow is on as a kid. And while they do that, this is when Jack Sparrow gets his name.
I guess.
Which...
He's like a sparrow.
Hollywood, tune in and listen. Nobody cares about the name of a character when it's just a very... If it is a name, like if you were doing... I don't know, if it's an insane name, maybe we want to know about how they got that name. Or it's a movie where names really matter. But when it's Jack Sparrow, I have never once in my life wondered, I wonder how he got the last name Sparrow.
Yeah.
Same thing with Han Solo. I never once in my life wondered, how did he get his last name?
Why can't things just sound cool and that's it? Why can't a compass just point to what you want and that's it?
Well, and it's not satisfying in any way.
No.
It's a very weird trope that like nobody's a fan of, and yet Hollywood says, yeah, we need to, because it's not like a moment where someone says I'm Batman and you go, oh, he's like taking up the mantle. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, just, like that's what to us going into a movie already, a Batman movie, the name means so much to us already. This is not the same thing.
And this is how we got the name, folks. If you said, I just want to listen to Jordan and Micah tear this movie apart, he gets the name because Salazar looks through his spyglass and sees Johnny Depp in the crow's nest, the little spot to look out, and he goes, he was up there looking like a sparrow. That's how he got his name? What are you talking about?
And then he says Jack the Sparrow.
Jack the Sparrow. And then they do this crazy move.
And then you said a funny thing, though, about that.
What did I say?
If a dead man who can tell no tales
gave him his
name,
how
do we know about his name?
Because he's on a ship that's like 2 football fields away, and he goes, Jack the Sparrow. And also, how did he know his name was Jack?
Word travels fast. I know.
It doesn't make any sense.
Because he's a nobody still.
It is worse than the Solo.
Oh, it's so much worse.
Because the Solo one logically makes sense. It's just awful.
Yeah.
But this is so much worse.
It's bad.
So now I want to talk about de-aging in film. What do you think, Jordan?
It just really depends for me. But for the most part, I don't think we need it.
Oh, yes. I thought you meant the topic of talking about it. And you were saying like...
You asked me what I thought about the topic of talking about it?
Well, I said... we don't need to...
Yeah, just continue on with what you're going to say.
So the first instance of de-aging in a film is X-Men The Last Stand. I don't remember that.
What movie or year is that?
2006.
Okay. And who is it?
It's Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen.
Okay.
But then in 2008, we have The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, which I think is what really puts the technology on the map. Obviously, Brad Pitt is, starting as an old man and turning into...
A baby.
A baby.
Born an old man.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's curious.
It's almost... That's actually maybe not de-aging. That's aging. Then we have X-Men. Tron Legacy. There's a scene with Jeff Bridges in it because the movie was way after. We have some others. We've talked about Hobbit. Ant-Man, you have Michael Douglas. We've talked about that one. But a lot of these, Kurt Russell, Guardians, Dead Men Tell No Tales, it's a weird thing, and I just think that that it should be like your last possible option is how I think.
Yeah.
Because it creates this gloss over the actor almost all the time. The one exception maybe is Samuel L. Jackson and Captain Marvel.
Yeah, he looks good in that movie.
Although it's been a little while. I wonder if just a couple of years.
Well, the thing is so like Michael Douglas, for example.
Yes.
Most people know him as an older person, like middle-aged person to older person. So most people haven't seen him young. So when they de-age him, he just looks like an old man with smooth skin, which looks unnatural, which looks fake. Because a lot of what makes you old is lines and wrinkles, detail.
Yeah.
When you're younger, you don't have that much detail.
Right.
It's as simple as like it's just uncanny valley weirdness.
I will say though, I think a lot of people would know Michael Douglas as young.
I don't.
He's been acting
I
for
don't,
a
and I
long
know
time.
that I'm not alone.
Yes, but I
Same
think
with Kurt Russell. He's been around since he was a kid.
yeah.
And even then, I still actually I thought that they did a pretty good job in Guardians with him. They got the dimple. That was important. If they didn't have that dimple, it would look really bad. But even then, I feel like, yeah, I've seen him as a younger person, but I know him more as an older person. And I think a lot of people could feel the way about Michael Douglas.
Okay. But all of this to say, I just think if you give the actor a quick shave and throw on makeup, you can get rid of like 20 years right there.
Yeah.
And we just watched Moneyball last night. And in Moneyball, Brad Pitt is being flashed back when he was in his college days his high school days
to college.
going to the big leagues. Billy Bean. They have a completely different actor.
Yeah.
They don't look anything alike.
Do you think that filmmakers are so nervous that the people aren't going to know which character it is?
No. I think it's a Jurassic Park situation. They have the technology and they never asked if they should use it. I think that's what it is. I do think there are elements like we were talking about today in Irishman. You can't, like, Robert De Niro is so old that he's not so old, but he can't play.
Wait, really? Because he's pretty old.
Is he? Okay. He can't play a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
And it's also like he's so iconic. And I know that's the argument for all of these. I know I'm sounding contradictory. And maybe it's just because I think The Irishman's a masterpiece and I think that this movie is not. But I just think we should... I know it's not a big list of movies that have used it, but let's make it even less. I don't need... You can recast actors.
Yeah.
I think when I was a kid, I always didn't like that. It hurt my brain a little bit. But now that I'm older, I just think, just recast. I don't care.
I have a feeling that with this technology in this movie that we're talking about, like, I wonder if Johnny Depp would even allow them to recast him. I don't think they would. I don't think there's a world. Like, he would make them rewrite the script. Or, not even that, he would do all the makeup. Yeah. Because I could see him not allowing them to recast a younger version of him. But... The problem with Johnny Depp in this movie is I think he naturally, like, he always looks, I don't know, not necessarily, it's not like he looks young today, but he always kind of looks young-ish. Yeah. So you made him look young, and it is like kind of what you were saying earlier, I think, where, like, we do know what he looks like young.
Yeah, and it's weird because they didn't make him look like Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't really look like Johnny Depp when they de-aged him. He looks like an old Johnny Depp without wrinkles.
Yeah.
Instead of how he... Like, the Samuel Jackson thing was really smart because he actually looks like 90s Jackson. Yeah. They, like, really reference that stuff, and I think that's maybe why that movie works so well. Whereas this one, it's just smooth Depp. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, I just sidebar, less de-aging, and they still have... The thing they haven't figured out is lips. Lips on de-aging, I'm telling you. If you don't have the time to get it right, and even still, there's certain movements that they have lips do that your lips don't actually even do. Yep. So, anyway. Yep. Now we're back in the movie. And there are zombie sharks, as one does. Zombie sharks, cool on the uptick, but
cool
once they're
theory.
In the water, I was way over it.
Yeah, very over very quickly. Yeah.
But, Depp, Karina, and Henry all escape to this island. And these zombie sharks chase them. And Jack Sparrow loops a rope around the shark and rides it like a jet boat. And then they get on land. And that's when they find out that Salazar can't walk on land.
Or else he'll die.
Yeah, which the whole movie they've been saying, if you get on land, you'll be fine, dude.
I mean, also though, the what's his name? Davy Jones can't go on land. Yeah. So this is boring. Someone else can't go on land? Cool.
Also, what's kind of funny is in this scene, so they've had zombie sharks attack them. Which there's a weird slow-mo shot of the zombie shark.
It was the longest I've ever seen.
So long, but it had no effect on the action.
It was so bad.
And then the crew gets out and they run on top of the water.
Salazar's crew.
Yeah, and I thought, that's kind of cool. And they're running toward the island. And then when they get there, one of them steps into the sand and he disappears. When that happens, the girl says, because I can't remember her name.
Karina.
Karina.
Yeah, she just says, "Ghost." She doesn't
She's
even scream
she's
it
like,
with
"Ghosts,
urgency.
Ghosts.
Yeah.
Ghosts." And I'm thinking, everything you've seen him dissolving was the moment for you. They just ran on water. And you're so obsessed with science that maybe in her head she's going, oh, they must have had water shoes of science. And those must have been science zombie sharks. And then when one disappears, that's when she breaks. Get over it. Come on.
Yeah.
Then
I don't know.
they're at Hangman's Cove.
Yeah.
Now, the fun thing about Hangman's Cove is it's called Hangman's Cove, and there are no nooses anywhere in sight.
Mm-mm. Well, there are 2 people hanging in cages, 2 dead bodies hanging in cages.
Oh, I missed that.
That's where the sign was.
Okay, I did miss that. So
I mean, they weren't hanging, but
oh, they were just in a cage?
I just thought they were like 2 skeletons in a cage.
Okay, so I stand by what I said.
Sure.
Then.
They were
And-
hanging from a net.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
Well, and then they get caught, a la the Ewoks capturing our heroes in Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
And Mike Combs is going to like
Yeah,
that.
I know.
Okay.
You just said it a lot while we were watching the movie.
I said it a lot? I thought I just said it once.
You said it a couple of times. Like, as if I didn't hear you the first time.
But you were just ignoring me.
Yeah.
But anyway, then there's this insufferable scene where they're really scared to go to Hangman's Cove. They're thinking this is a bad situation. We don't want to be a part of this. So they go there. They get trapped.
I don't think they want to go. I don't know. Just keep going.
Well, like they need to, but they're going, uh-oh, this is Hangman's Cove.
I didn't know
they're worried.
Knew that until they were hanging from a net.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
What I'm trying to say is they're setting even if our characters don't know it, the writers are setting up this is kind of a crazy place. This is going to be scary or whatever. And then it just turns into the scene where this random guy we've never seen before is trying to have Johnny Depp marry his daughter so that she can be an honest woman. And she's very, very
widow.
gross. And I'm saying they make her very, very gross.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's this whole scene where they're trying to get married. Has no effect or purpose. What was that scene?
I don't know. But then Barbossa shows up
And
saves them, but he's still like working for Salazar, you know?
yeah, and he still has the black pearl in a bottle. Or
Jack
no, Jack
does.
I cannot get this movie's so confusing.
So yeah, Jack has the black pearl. They take it out of the bottle. How did they get it out of the bottle? Oh, I think they just broke it.
yeah, they just broke it, and then they set it in the water, and it grows a little bit.
Well, it's not. It grows. It gets
No,
big.
but that was kind of funny because it's just kind of growing, and then Barbossa says, "No, come on," and throws it out into the sea, and then it gets really big.
Okay, and then we get Jack back. Finally, the movie's redeemed. Jack the monkey is who I'm talking about.
Oh yeah,
Movie is redeemed.
It is nice when he comes back.
It is. I love the monkey so much.
Must have been worth all of the trouble in Australia to bring him.
So Barbossa saves them, and now they're on the Pearl, and I think they're close to where they need to be to find the Trident. Which the whole time they're basically following a map that no one can read, but it's the stars and how they're aligned. Has to do with the blood moon. They find an island full of it's basically the sky is what the island is, like a bunch of jewels and stones and blah blah blah. And then there are laser beams.
Yes. Can I cut in from before that? Because there's something crazy. We're just on the boat, and then Karina.
What the heck, Micah? They say it a lot in the movie.
Karina says...
I thought it was Katrina, and you corrected me while we were watching it.
So Karina says, hey, I'm following this map, and they go, okay, cool. And then she goes, yeah, it was given to me by my father, and he was a pirate, and I'm like so sad, but I don't really care.
No, she didn't ever think he was a pirate.
Oh,
She was an orphan.
Yeah.
And Barbossa's like, oh, he must have been this, and this. She's like, no, it was basically Will Turner denying that his dad, Bootstrap Bill, was a pirate.
Yeah. And then Barbossa goes over to Johnny Depp, and Johnny Depp says, hey, dude, that's your daughter.
Not wife.
And
You were gonna say wife.
he says, oh, yeah, whoops, or something. I don't know. And you just go, really? You're just going to whip this out right here just so you can set up the end when you kill Barbossa.
And like she was
hate
working
this.
so hard in her dad's honor and like the only connection she had to her father. That's her biggest motivation. And he's realizing all of this, and it's like, don't you think she's earned to know that her dad is alive?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's
He
like
is a
I'm
pirate,
a pirate and I wouldn't want her to know that. Like I'm such a disgrace. All that stuff.
But it just seems so random. It's not like the Davy Jones thing where the two movies he's struggling with his long lost love, and you're seeing that tension within Davy Jones. They're just randomly Barbossa goes, "Oh yeah, oh man, I'm really sad, and I've thought about that a lot in my life." And you go, "No, you never showed us that he was worried or wanted to see his daughter. You can't just whip that out."
At least for Bootstrap Bill, like he was killed, sent to the bottom of the ocean, but
Yeah.
also he's stuck on the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah.
There's literally nothing he can do with the situation.
Yeah, and they don't just do it so they can kill a
And he still
character.
gets his son back.
Yeah. It's such an annoying thing in movies where they just do a connection so that they can pull on your heartstrings later, but it's not story
Yeah.
written well kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But now we're back to the constellation.
So there are laser beams because she returns the ruby. By the way, she has the diary of Galileo the whole time. That's it. The
Yeah.
diary of Galileo. These beams open up. I don't know. The ocean divides.
Yeah.
Like Exodus. And the Trident is down there. Salazar's crew shows up at just the right time to also witness all of this, of course. But they have to stay in the water. You know?
Yeah. Could be a cool set piece. It's not.
The Trident is kind of a bummer in its design too, and I know that's a little nitpicky, I know. But a lot of the time, like, I think that we just went through a period of an object that we know so well, because we've seen it like an Ariel, for example, his trident, Poseidon's trident. And it looks like an actual trident that is an actual weapon that exists.
Yeah.
So now we're going to make it basically coral. I don't know. I thought they could have had a little bit more fun with it.
Which, as a character in D&D, Plockwat I am, and he has a quarterstaff that's made of coral. I do like the coral.
Not a trident owned by Poseidon, though.
Yeah.
Also, why wasn't Poseidon in the movie, you know?
I know, seriously. So there's a big bad fight, and I mean not big bad like Mission Impossible, big and bad. Like it's just bad. It sucks. And they do this thing that always makes me laugh, where Henry and Karina look at each other and they're like, "We have to divide the trident.
We have to break it.
We have to break the trident." And they say it at the exact same time, and then later they say
it again, like they're realizing it for the first time.
Yeah, and it is a thing that they did in the previous movie where they go, "Oh, we haven't actually set this up, but I don't want to go back in the script and rewrite some stuff to get it set up. So instead, let's just have our characters repeat it several times so the audience thinks we set this up."
Yep. And we didn't say it earlier, but they want the trident because
It'll break
all
the
curses
of the sea.
Yeah.
Which means they shouldn't have another movie, right? Because they just broke all the
I
curses
hope
of the
so.
sea. I will say, though, that the book does say you must divide to find the island or something like that, but they divide it and they find the island and the trident. That has nothing to do with the curse within the trident. So they just make up their own folklore and then they break the trident.
It really doesn't make sense.
And
Of course, when you're watching a movie you're not enjoying, you do check out.
that's true.
I will say that.
That's true. But I mean, this no.
Yeah, so they break it. And that also breaks the curse of Salazar and his crew, so they're now alive again. I don't really get that. They should just be dead. They should be able to rest in peace, is how I would think of it. But I guess they're given a second chance at life. So how do they get out of this depth of in the reef? Well, Barbossa's going to come down on a giant anchor and save everyone.
Yeah. And then he dies, but he shares a word with his daughter.
He does?
Yeah.
What does he say?
I don't remember. We were kind of talking about something else, I think. I think we were actually just yelling at the movie at this point.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of resolves, and
I thought he just gave her this look as he was falling.
No, he said something like,
Okay.
"You are my heavens," or something. You know, I don't know. Or,
Okay. Enough to where she would know that, oh my gosh, that's my father.
Yeah, she realizes it.
Yeah.
And the music swells.
Like the ocean.
And then, you got Henry hanging out with Will Turner, who shows up on land. And then Elizabeth Turner comes out too. And she was only available for one day of shooting, hence no lines or anything like that. And then there's this post-credit scene where Davy Jones walks into Will Turner's room. And we're going, what? And then you said, it must be a dream. He wakes up. And then the camera pans down and you see that there's barnacles on the ground, which means they were setting up that Davy Jones is back. And I say, nuh-uh. He's gone. Okay? He's done. And that's the movie. We skimmed over a lot because
Very convoluted.
It's tough. It's a tough one. It's a bad movie. So let's talk about the future of the franchise real quick. In 2017, the director of this movie said that this was only the beginning of the final adventure, implying that it would be the last film of the franchise and that it would not be, and that a 6 would be released. The post-credit scene shows Davy Jones. In September 2017, producer Jerry Bruckheimer indicated that another Pirates sequel is still possible if it does well on home release, because it had already bombed at the box office. And then on October 2017, the 6th film was confirmed, and some people were, had to come back shortly after it was announced that Ronning was being eyed to return to direct the sequel, and that Terry Rossio would write it, all of that stuff. And then in 2018, it was reported that Disney had been looking for ways to reboot the franchise, bringing on Deadpool writers Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick. In January 2019, it was said that Disney could save up to $90 million by excluding Depp from future installments. Although not confirming nor denying the presence of Captain Jack Sparrow.
I'm just gonna say they're not making another movie. There's just no way. No one's gonna see it if Johnny Depp's not in it. But no one wants to work with Johnny Depp for a while.
Yeah. However, in 2019, February 2019, Reese and Wernick, the writers from Deadpool.
Wait, they could save $90 million? Was he getting paid that much?
Well, I think that would be what they estimate if he's in. If they're trying to reboot the franchise,
like
maybe,
a couple movies
maybe they're
or
like,
something?
oh, we want to make 2 more or a trilogy or something like that.
Yuck.
And then in February of 2019, Reese and Wernick, the writers of Deadpool, departed the project, and by October of that year were replaced with Craig Manzine and Ted Elliott. Ted Elliott's the other guy's name.
Yeah, that's who it is.
And then, while plots are being kept in Davy Jones' locker, that's clever that they wrote that. I am reading some of this stuff.
Gosh, this is taking forever.
I know. The project in early development is not intended... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, my gosh. Basically, they are still trying to make another movie, but at the same time, they're trying to make a kind of a spin-off that would star Margot Robbie. So they're trying...
What would she be?
We don't know.
Okay.
So they're basically trying to work on 2 different Pirates movies.
Okay.
I think they are not going to do anything else with Johnny Depp. He's too toxic right now. Maybe in a few years they could get him back once maybe the public is like, we forgot about the bad stuff. Margot's your only shot. And the last movie she released in theaters, Birds of Prey, did not do well at the box office.
That's right.
So I foresee this not happening with these 2 things. I think something else. I don't think they're going to let this franchise go. It's too much money.
She doesn't make sense to me for these movies. Like if she's supposed to be a pirate.
Maybe she could be an Australian pirate.
How do you make her grubby and ugly?
I mean,
The answer is you don't. Oh, that's true. But I don't think they can do it. It's just, I don't think it works.
Yeah.
And I love Margot Robbie.
Oh yeah, we love Margot Robbie. So there is a future potentially. I think we're a long ways off from anything happening with that. So that's Pirates, folks. You chose Pirates of the Caribbean for us to cover. And you know what? I thank you because I was able to reevaluate Pirates 3 and Pirates 2, and I think they're awesome. And I totally want to watch those 3 movies more often in my general life. I think they're fantastic. So thank you, audience. Good choice.
I thank you too. I love the first 3.
Yeah. And I think it was inevitable, 4 and 5 just aren't going to be as good. And we knew that going into it.
Mm-hmm.
What's your ranking?
I think I would do Oh, that's so hard. Ow. From least to best, on Stranger Tides, this movie, Pirates 3. And I don't know between 1 and 2.
Really?
It's because I love Davy Jones so much.
Make it your one.
I'll do 1 and 2.
Wow.
I love Davy Jones so much, but I do love the Skeleton Pirates.
Yeah.
And don't get Barbossa like at all in the second one.
Yeah. And we did not point out that a big mistake they made in 4 and 5 is they got rid of his cool hat and
Yep.
gave him English curls.
Yep.
Forget about it. He's got a cool hat. Leave the hat be. I say it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
So
Diminishing Returns.
Yeah. But I think 2 is really close. Yeah, I think 2 is really
I'm
close.
going to say 1 and 2 are tied for me.
Yeah. There's something just so magical about the first movie.
Yeah.
The second, as we talked about, the second one rules.
Yeah.
So yeah, very fun series to cover.
It is.
I knew we were going to do it at some point.
Yeah.
And as you folks know from the last episode, the next series is the Hannibal series. And to remind you,
a very welcome change of pace
oh, absolutely.
for pretty much every franchise we've done up until this point.
This is totally different than anything we've done.
Yes, you do not have your big bombastic stuff for the most part in comparison to like action adventure fantasy, which was what you get from a lot of franchises.
And this will be our second best picture winner we cover, I think, on the podcast.
Wow.
Because of Return of the King. Yeah, this is to just refresh you if you're wondering, folks. We're kicking it off with Michael Mann's Manhunter, then Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal, Red Dragon, and then Hannibal Rising. So that's your order of movies because it's like a loose series, you know.
Well, it's a book series.
Yes.
So it is like a. I'm assuming it's like a lot of detective stories where they're serialized more than anything, but they are connected.
Yeah. And I think some people don't consider Manhunter a part of that series because it's not the same actor as Hannibal. But I also think I saw it listed on Wikipedia as number 1, and I've also always wanted to watch it. So I thought this would be
Brian
cool.
Cox? Sure, I'll watch it.
Even if it is a reboot remake, we'll make that exception this time. How about that? But next week we're unlocking a Patreon episode.
Yep.
For everybody. And if you are like, oh my gosh, I can't go. I can't go. If you're a patron, I think this next week we're coming out with our Gremlins 2 episode. So don't worry, you're still getting a new episode. And for anyone who's not on Patreon, go to patreon.com/MICAHMCCAW, Micah McCaw, and sign up and join in on all the fun. There's plenty of exclusive stuff over there, and it is well worth your $3, $5, or $10. I try hard. Jordan tries hard to make it something where you go, you know what? I'm glad I missed out on my cup of coffee this month because this was awesome. So Gremlins 2, the new batch, and a Patreon unlocked episode for everyone else. Dead men tell no tales.